Hey everyone, Blugoblin on location, and by location I mean I'm at a friend's house. And this friend has got a lot of animals in here, so I apologize in advance if some animals getting into the shot or if some of the animals try to screw with this camera. But I'm here to review comics that came out on the week of the 17th of August 2016. Got a large stack, so we're gonna get through this really quick. Start with Marvel, go to Indies, and then end with some company named DC. Alright, we'll start with Marvel. We got All New Wolverine, number 11. Tom Taylor is still doing an excellent job with this. Fantastic writing. Guar's artwork, there are times it works, sometimes not quite so much, but in here Captain America has been called in to assist S.H.I.E.L.D. with this vision that Ulysses had that deals with Old Man Logan killing someone. And, you know, Cap is there to help stop it from happening, thus interrogating someone. Well, I wouldn't say interrogating someone, but questioning someone for something they ain't done. Perhaps haven't done yet, you know, but you kind of understand where their feelings go with this, especially Cap's. And Cap is trying to actually be the clear-headed one. He's trying to be the understanding one, while the rest of the people at S.H.I.E.L.D., they're just being complete asses about it. And it comes to the point where, you know, Gabby's trying to stand up for Wolverine, but at the same time, well, for Logan, excuse me. Laura is now Wolverine. But she's trying to stick up for Logan, yet respecting Captain America at the same time. She even salutes him awkwardly long in here. But some good action, good storytelling, great drama that culminates with kind of cliffhanger at the end. Solid issue. Good read. I enjoyed it. Give it a 3.5. Maybe a 4. Let's keep rolling with Civil War II, The Amazing Spider-Man number 3. Yeah, man. It just feels... It does feel right to see Pete, you know, looking out for someone, being like a mentor of some sorts. You know, he tried to mentor Ulysses. That didn't exactly go very well. It ended up bringing back one of his earliest adversaries, Clash. And Clash was wreaking all kinds of havoc. And despite all the stuff that Clash is doing, Pete's still trying to stick up for him. He's like, hey, I'm going to try my best to keep you out of prison, but you can't use any of your Clash tech anymore. It's like, that's the one thing you were told not to do, and you did it. You violated your parole. Now, I can't do nothing for you there, but I can still try to help you, you know. And, of course, Clash, Clayton Cole, you know, some people, they just don't get it. Yeah, it's, you know, Harry Osborn even says in here, you know, being a former villain himself, you put on a mask, you do stuff, it becomes addictive. And he was absolutely right. And unfortunately, Clayton, what he ends up doing at the end of the issue, it's going to come back to bite him in the ass. Hard. Good issue. Really dug it. Good job from everybody. An easy 3.5. Hey, kitty. There's a cat here trying to rustle my attention. Alright, let's keep it rolling with Civil War II, Gods of War, number 3. Love this variant cover. Picks up right where the last issue left off with Hercules going berserk, just laying waste to everything. He's under a trance, and he's just smacking everybody around. And they finally get through to him, and the way they get him out of the trance was really odd. I don't think I really bought how they got him out of the trance because it was just that odd. I'm not going to ruin it for you. But even after all of that, and even after everyone is talking about being so understanding, it's like, look, Herc, it's not really your fault. You were cursed. You were cursed against your will. You were wreaking havoc, and you were out of control, but it wasn't at your consent. But even after all of that, Carol says something in here that I'm like, oh my God, are you taking bitch lessons from Maria Hill? It just, even after how guilty and how bad Hercules feels about all he did against his will, Carol's still talking to him in kind of a backhandedly nice way, to where she comes off acting a little snooty at him, and it just seems so out of character for her. But still, nonetheless, very nicely done. Love the drama. The drama helps sell the action, and the action helps tell the story very well. Everything's pieced well together. A good read. Not really, really great, but good nonetheless. I'd give it a 3.5. Maybe a 3. I don't know. Civil War II X-Men number 3. This is probably one of the biggest splits between, heroes that doesn't involve everyone. I mean, we're having another split, another division between the mutants. And this kind of feels like its own story. It really, at times, it doesn't feel like a true tie-in to Civil War II, because you can take some of the things tied to Civil War II, you can take the Tony Stark and the Carol Danvers stuff out, and it feels like its own story. And that's a good thing, because I think this would be a good pickup for anybody who's not reading Civil War II. It's basically mutants versus Inhumans, and I'm loving what they're doing here. Like, surprising switches. Nightcrawler is working with Magneto, and you got Storm aligning herself with the Inhumans, and in Magneto's eyes, that labels her a traitor to mutant kind, because what helps birth the Inhumans is killing the mutants. So Magneto's mindset is, why would you side with the race that is killing your kind? But yeah, it all boils down to, who do you trust? Whose side are you on? The main theme of this storyline all throughout this story has been loyalty. And loyalty is tested very highly in this story, and they're doing a good job with this. I loved this read. This is good stuff. One of the better X-Men titles, and I think it could end up being an underrated story, in my personal opinion. Not the best stuff in the world, but it was really solid. I enjoyed it. I'm torn between a 3.5 or a 4 out of 5. It's in that area. Let's keep it rolling with Gwenpool number 5. Hastings and Strzelski. Sorry if I butchered that name. But this is a Gwenpool team up with Miles Morales Spider-Man, the Ultimate Spider-Man. And remember, Gwenpool, it is like, there are still people who are asking me, is that Gwen Stacy? No, it's not Gwen Stacy. She's from the real world. She got zapped into the Marvel Comics world, and she just happens to be named Gwen with blonde hair. So, but no, it's Gwenpool, and she's a big Marvel Comics mark, and she knows everything about what's going on in there. So when she's yelling out for Spider-Man at Miles, and he's like in deep shock that she knows who he is and everything, and it leads to a very awkward team up. And it's comedy, it's comedic, it serves its purpose. In my opinion, this was one of the weaker issues of the series, but it's still not that bad. I'm still interested in where they're going to go with the MODOK storytelling, but this was still pretty good, just still not some of the best stuff. Solid read, 3 or a 3.5. We're ending the Marvel stack with the Mighty Thor number 10. Drop the hammer, Jane Foster, you're under arrest. Just like S.H.I.E.L.D. to think they know everything or think they should have access to everything. and if they ain't got it, they're going to be dicks until you give it to them. Man, this was all over the place. All kinds of stuff is going on. You got some S.H.I.E.L.D. agents trying to rescue Dario Agger, even though they're not really fond of the idea of rescuing the bastard. Just corporation fighting and stuff like that. Some of the stuff, it just got really weird. And then to top it all off, the cliffhanger at the end. I feel like I need to spoil this to explain why I felt this was odd, and why I feel that this is going in a predictable twist. S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are confronting Thor, and they're calling her by her name, Jane Foster. They think they know who she is. They think they've figured everything out. And all of a sudden, a rainbow bridge gate opens, and out walks to the aid of Thor, who was shot with an enchanted bullet. Out walks Jane Foster. Now, the predictable twist that I am guessing where they're going with this could involve Loki. And I think that's where they're going with this. It's the only logical explanation they could use with this. Please no clone shit. But all in all, I thought it was fine. Thought it was a fine issue for what it was. I'll give it a 3.5. Let's move on to the indies. Going to IDW with Back to the Future number 11. This is part 6 of Continuum Conundrum. Good stuff. This was really good. Everything's wrapping up really nicely, and I really appreciated this issue, at least for one thing. This explains how Doc was able to get all the tools he needed to build that train time machine at the end of Back to the Future 3. This explains it. And I thought, okay, weird, but in a weird sort of way, it makes sense. It's done very well. My only problem with this issue is that it felt like a conclusion, but the end of the book said to be continued, which means we're leading up to a part 7, but this felt like a solid ending to the story. Unless part 7 is going to be nothing more than an issue-long epilogue, then I thought the time was right, no pun intended. The timing was right to go ahead and just end it here and go on to the next story arc. But apparently we're going to keep this one going. The way this issue ends, it didn't feel like we need to keep on going, but it is what it is. It was good. A 3.5. Alright, going to Aftershock Comics, Marjorie Bennett. Insects number 7, a mature reader's comic. Marjorie Bennett has worked on so many comics throughout her career, but this is the first work that she's ever done that she herself created. And she did a good job with this. This is the conclusion to the first arc. The second arc begins with issue 8. And in here, everything wraps up pretty nicely. Very gruesome, but pretty nicely. This really feels like an insect horror story. Gore, it's violent, there's bloodbaths everywhere, people are getting eaten alive, sliced apart and all that shit. It feels like a horror movie, and Miss Bennett does a good job with it. Very nicely done. I don't want to say the way they beat the hag, as she's called in here, I don't want to say it felt anticlimactic, but it's like I kind of expected just a little bit more to it. A little bit more. But the way they wrapped things up, I was satisfied. Not much else to say about it. Yeah, it was good. 3.5, around that area. Oh boy. Boundless Comics. issue 1 of Jungle Fantasy Ivory. Another mature comic book. This was... if you like still images of sexy half-naked to naked girls that hardly tells any story, then this is the book for you. This wasn't that good. It's one of those two split story thing. You got a main story and then you got a second story. To me, the second story was better because it felt more like a traditional comic book where you had dialogue, you had characters, you had storytelling, you had angles and twists and turns that I have always come to expect from a comic book. The first story, it just felt like pin-up art with words on it, and that was lame. I understood the story in the first one. You know, she's out looking for her dead husband. She learns that her husband was killed, but she finds out that her son might still be alive, and she's going out to find him. It's just a shame that they used just nothing but a bunch of pin-up art to tell the story, whereas the second story did a much better job with the storytelling, but the character of Ivory herself was lesser developed in the second one and seemed a little bit more objectified as a damsel in distress. How can you have a main character, a title character, also look like the damsel in distress? That doesn't make any sense. Out of all the Boundless titles I've read, this is easily the weakest one. The artwork obviously is great, but you need good storytelling to help the artwork flow. And when you're just relying on sexy artwork, it just will fall flat for me every time. At least with Tarot, I get decent storytelling. At least I get characters that I can get attached to, and it helps progress the story. Here, I felt nothing. Barely an average read at best. I'm probably going to give it a 2 or a 2.5. And I'm probably not even going to get the rest of that. That issue just really felt nothing. Next up from Boundless, The Ravening #2. Whereas I thought the first issue of The Ravening was meh, this one was actually pretty good. We get a very clear-cut look at one of the main antagonists of this storyline, and he looks badass. And he's one of those kinds of villains that doesn't bluff, and he doesn't care who you say you are or who you think you are. If he's going to beat your ass, and God damn it, he's going to do it. I like that. Sometimes that works. It's like he confronts this little vampire creature, and he's like, I am the son of so-and-so, and he's just like, who cares? Great! Love that stuff. Meanwhile, the two vampire girls, they're having a wedding party, a bachelorette party or something like that, and that stuff was cheeky and fun. A little campy, but still nicely developed. And the second story with The Ravening was good too. This was much better than the first issue, but the best part of the book was looking at one of the main antagonists, one of the main villains. And other than that, this book was just okay. Since it was better than the first issue, I'll be nice and give it a 3. Just barely above an average read. Ending the indie stack with Dynamite, Xena, Warrior Princess #5. Finally, this series is actually going somewhere. You have Gabrielle. She snuck off against everyone's advice to go talk to Augustus Caesar. And man, Augustus, Octavius, whatever the fuck. Man, this guy is just a first-class prick. It's like he almost didn't come off at all the way he was on the TV show. But here, my God, he's a prick. Especially toward Gabrielle. You know, he's trying so hard to be polite, to tell her in a polite way that she's going to be his prisoner and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Xena and Ares and some of the Harpies are working together, a rescue mission and everything. you know, but they're warning Xena, you're going up against Caesar, not Julius Caesar. It's Octavius Augustus Caesar. You're going up against Rome itself. It ain't gonna look good for you. And not to mention Ares being mortal. He's not the god of war anymore. Just all kinds of crazy shit's going on in here. But it's finally getting better. It's finally stepping up, considering we're in the time period where I started falling out on the show. I still miss Autolycus. I miss Joxer. I miss Salmonius, for Christ's sake. All those fun and lovable characters that I grew up with watching this show, and you picked the time period when the show was declining in popularity. It is what it is. But a decent issue nonetheless, 3.5. Starting DC off with Aquaman number 5. Oh my God. Arthur and Mira just kill it in this issue. Just fantastic stuff. Heavy on the action. Every once in a while, a book with like 90% action, sometimes it can work. And in here, it definitely works. And Mira. Where else can you find a woman who's badass enough to rip the top off of a tank? And other tanks are approaching. She uses her powers to drain the liquids that help them run out of them. Damn! Just good stuff. Good action. And it's like they're telling a story in throughout the action. And it's done very well. Good stuff. I still am not a fan of them going back to being engaged. It's like you hit the rewind button, but you still didn't go anywhere. You rewound the characters, but kept them put. It's like before Rebirth they were married, and now they're not. Whatever. But yeah. But still a great issue. I'll give it a 4. It's good. Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, number 1. Benson and Benson do a good job with this. Wow, I gotta say, Huntress, quite the hothead. Very short temper. Very short. And this Huntress, she's out for blood. She's looking to find the connection to her family's murder. And she's kind of coming off like a female Punisher in here. And Barbara and Dinah are trying to tell her, hey, look, we don't play it that way. You're going to hang with us. It's on a strictly no-kill policy. And it's kind of like whole common enemy stuff, because they're also trying to figure out who this fake Oracle is, because you know, that was Barbara's identity at one time, and now somebody else is using it, and they're still trying to figure out who's behind this. But a really good issue. I just wish Gail Simone was writing this. I mean, she is synonymous with the Birds of Prey. But the Bensons, they do a good job with this. Solid read. I enjoyed it. 3.5. Let's move on to Batman number 5. King and Finch. Fantastic stuff. Even though I'm still not really a big fan of the whole Gotham and Gotham Girl shtick, it's still some good stuff in here. We even get to see Alfred dress up in a bat suit. And he drives the Batmobile right into the spine of Gotham. And Gotham just shakes it off because he's like ultra powerful. And he's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Batman. I'm just picturing a British dude with a mustache saying, I'm Batman. It's just, he's like, no, you're not. You're just some dude in a mask. And that's when the real Batman shows up. And he gets some backup in here. Minor spoiler. It's the Justice League. But ooh. Gotham this is where we see just how powerful Gotham is. Let me just say this. You need to be, if you've got a shitty costume and a dorky name, but you can still have enough power to smack Superman around like he's a bitch, that's when I start taking this character seriously. But the ending was kind of, still not a bad issue. I liked some of the twists. I liked some of the moments that I got in here. It was really good. I just dug Alfred in the bat suit. That was just great shit. I was chuckling a little bit at that. But a good, strong issue nonetheless. And I loved the stuff with Gotham Girl and Batman's new partner. That was good stuff too. This was a really strong issue. Not the best, but still really strong, and it gets a 4. Green Lanterns number 5. Humphreys and Roca. Red Dawn is still approaching. Atrocitus has given the Rage Seed to Dexter, and Dexter is on his way down through the Hell Tower to plant the seed and engulf the entire planet with rage. Meanwhile, you got Simon and Jessica battling their asses off against the other Red Lanterns, and Jessica goes into full-blown panic mode. She is like quivering in the corner, hiding away. She's too damn afraid to do anything. And Simon Boz is going up against the big man himself. Excuse me. He's going up against Atrocitus. And he goes for something desperate. And yeah, ain't looking good. It looks like the bad guys might win a little bit before they eventually lose. That's probably the weirdest way to put it, but it's kind of where it looks like it's heading. Good stuff though. I really dug it though. It's getting a 4. Harley Quinn number 2. You know what? Fuck it. Balls to the wall. Let's just fight all these zombies off. You know, if you want to use a 2x4, use a 2x4. If you want to smack a zombie around with a toilet seat, then you do it. You want to hit it with a shoe, a piñata, a baseball bat, just pick up anything you can find. In the world of a zombie apocalypse, hell, anything can be a weapon. A walking stick, or just a stick itself, you know, just anything. A stuffed animal, who cares? Fuck it, just do it. And that's the mentality that this issue had, and man, it was a blast. It was fun. I loved it. It was great. Some of the logic was kind of lacking in here, but it was still fun nonetheless. This was much more fun than the first issue was, and I really dug it. And I loved Ivy's entrance in the issue. Just fantastic. I really had fun with this one. I'll give it a 4. All right. Justice League number 3. The entitled, or the, well, hell, what's the... I done forgot. Is it the entitled that they're calling themselves? No, the Kindred. Where'd I get the entitled? The Kindred have finally started showing their true forms, and look. I saw the Kindred assemble their full forms, and I instantly thought of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And when you read this issue, if you've played that game and then you look at this, you'll get where I'm coming from. But still, it's still kind of weird seeing Diana flying around using, honest to God, lightning bolts in here. That just looks odd because she doesn't do it in any other title that she's in. You know, they're asking a really big favor from Superman, and it gets to the point where Lois goes up to Batman and gets right in his face, and she goes, "If he dies, I'm holding you personally responsible." But we all know Clark. Yeah, if it's something that he knows he can do to save the day, you know he's going to try. Whether, no matter how reckless or how dangerous it is, if there's always a slight chance that he can help in any way he can, you know he's going to do it. But this time, this volunteer act may come back to bite him. I don't think it's going to kill him, of course not, but they're going to try their best to tease it and make it look like it's going to come damn close, and I'm hoping that they can pull some good storytelling out of their ass to help sell it. It's getting good. It's getting good. I'm digging this so far. Tony Daniel did a good job. Everybody did a good job. Hitch, this was good. Still some things are kind of odd with me, but it was still a strong read nonetheless. I give it a 3.5. Alright, time to look at this dig in a book, Nightwing number 3. Tim Seeley and Fernandez. Man, this was good. Another look at the partnership between Nightwing and Raptor, but Barbara joins the fray in here. And at first she's pissed off at Nightwing for standing her up in Japan, but she decides to come and help him out with Raptor in this mission that he's supposedly taking place in. Dick believes he has found a way to take down the Parliament of Owls from within, and that's why he's sticking to this mission that he's on, and that's why he's still working reluctantly with Raptor. And they're going throughout this maze of a house and everything, and all kinds of crazy stuff happens, and there's this big moment in the end where Raptor's trust, it could have been earned in this issue from Nightwing, but earning Raptor's trust or learning to possibly trust Raptor may have cost Dick his relationship, any chance at a relationship or even a friendship with Barbara. Because Barbara leaves him high and dry with him out of sheer disappointment and disgust. And it's just one of those things where Dick doesn't realize that he may have just screwed himself out of any kind of relationship whatsoever with Barbara. But still, good read nonetheless. I'll give it a 4. I thought it was really good. Suicide Squad number 1. You know, the Rebirth one-shot was to get everybody acquainted, and now it's time to send them off on their first mission. And it's mostly the same team that we got in the movie. You know, Killer Croc, Deadshot, Katana, Harley, you know, Colonel Flag. You know, it's whoever you saw in the movie you pretty much see in here. And they're on their first mission, and of course everything's going haywire. They're like on this rocket ship descending at fast speeds, and Deadshot's fucking asleep, and Killer Croc's barfing in his space helmet, and all kinds of crazy psychotic stuff's going on. And of course Harley's acting all giddy like she's enjoying it, and her psychoticness really shows in here. And I love the fact she's wearing a Rebirth t-shirt. That's just kind of but not bad, not bad. Of course, Lee's artwork. Oh, and then you got the second story involving Deadshot. That was really good. I liked the Deadshot story more than I did the main story. But this was a good issue. This was a good first issue for the new Suicide Squad, and I thought it was nice. I'll give it a 3.5. Supergirl Rebirth. I was looking forward to this because I want to give Supergirl another try. I tried her for a while in the New 52, and then for some reason, I don't even remember why, but I just got out of it and stopped reading it. But in here, apparently Supergirl doesn't have her powers anymore, and her adoptive parents are trying to help her restore them by shooting her directly into the sun. Why not? And we got a nice little backstory of something that happened in the city of Kandor, the last people of Krypton and everything. And then we cut to what's happening now with the Danvers family trying to get Kara her powers back. And then all kinds of crazy shit happens. One of the lone survivors of Kandor comes back and he's wreaking havoc. He's even transforming and all that stuff. And I know, big shock. Supergirl comes in to save the day because she's got her powers back. I know. What a shock. But in here, we're reestablishing the new, well, I wouldn't say reestablishing, we are establishing the new status quo for Supergirl. And okay, she's now going to be part of, she's now going to go into National City Tech High School. She's going to be balancing a high school life while being a superhero. And okay, let's see where we can go with this. This looks promising. A nice read. Not really great, but it was good for what it was. A 3.5 at the very best. Now we're ending this with, hell, this could have been my pick of the week. Superman number 5. I'll give Rebirth credit on something. It made me a Superman fan again. This was awesome. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. I like seeing superheroes growing up, taking that next step in life. Family. I loved Peter Parker as a dad. Why Marvel don't do that anymore, it just kills me. I like seeing Batman as a dad. I like seeing Superman as a dad. It just seems to work for me. I like superhero family stories. It's just one of my things. And seeing Superman as a dad, it makes him... what's the term I should use? It makes me get more emotionally connected to this character. I've already shown lots of respect for this character over the years, but I've never really truly collected Superman comics until now. I'm glad I jumped on board with this. They're still taking on the Eradicator. It's like Clark takes Lois and Jonathan to the frickin' moon, to Batman's Batcave on the moon. It's Batman. He has a Batcave on the moon. Just accept it. And Eradicator just follows them there, and the fight continues. And twists happen abroad, and even Lois steps up to try and be a hero. And I friggin' loved what she did. Yet I don't understand how she was able to do it. Minor spoiler. She finds one of Batman's tech suits. How she managed to switch it on, get all the configurations ready for her body and everything like that, and how she was able to make it work just like that, I don't know how DC can properly explain how she was able to make it work when she's never used it before. But then, you know, the stuff with the Eradicator and very, very nice last page. This was amazing. Really loving this stuff. Jump on board with Superman. If somebody like me can do it, I think you can do it too. It's not too late. We're only 5 issues in. I'm sure the back issues are still available. Get on board with this. This is great stuff. This gets an easy 4, maybe a 4.5. Great stuff. Well, that's all I got for this video, everybody. I want to thank y'all for watching. Don't forget my Blugoblin X channel. Don't forget Arkham Asylum Studio. Don't forget my bros, TheMtVernonKid, Deadpoolzilla, and Brandon Hex. Follow me here on YouTube, Twitter. I'm still on Tumblr at the moment. Then there's Pinterest and Facebook. Thanks for watching, everybody. I am Groot. I'll see y'all later.